Member for Saanich North and Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And if what we're doing in question period here today is indicating to the trustees that this House is unanimous behind the call from the official opposition, then count the BC Green Caucus as making this House unanimous. This government shows their priorities, Mr. Speaker, in how they spend the money. In this budget, I'm looking to how this government is meaningfully advancing reconciliation. In Budget 2022, we finally see this government reorganizing how ministries interact through the Declaration Act Secretariat. However, the $4 million per year to create the Secretariat appears to be just enough money to administer and to pay the salaries of the staff that are in that Secretariat. So where is the priority in this budget for action on reconciliation? Last summer, the Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation published a 79-point action plan required in Section 4 of the Declaration Act. This action plan encompasses the work of every single one of the Minister's colleagues. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation is responsible for his colleagues in Cabinet to deliver on our commitments that we made to Indigenous people over 2 years ago. Yet there doesn't appear to be any money in the budgets of the ministries for the actions laid out in the plan. So through you to the Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, where's the money in this government's plan to finance progress on the DRIPA action plan?
Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to my colleague across the way for the question. We're very proud of the work that the Secretariat will do in implementing DRIPA, the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act. We've appointed as Associate Deputy Minister Siksikyaks Jessica Wood to serve in that historic role, to lead the government's response to the alignment of our laws, both existing and new, with the Declaration commitments that are part of that act. We believe that the money to do that, Mr. Speaker, will be found in the mandate plans for each and every ministry and their actions going forward. The action plan to which the honourable member referred will be before this House within the next few weeks. We're very proud of the concrete actions of that action plan that will make tangible difference to the lives of Indigenous peoples across this province.
Member for Saanich North and Islands, supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his response. And I think that it's important to acknowledge that I also have an incredible amount of confidence in Jessica Wood in navigating the creation of the Declaration Act. Indigenous leaders like the Union of BC Indian Chiefs President, Grand Chief Stuart Phillip, have been critical of the provincial government's all talk and little action approach. Specifically, they've been calling for conservation financing, which would protect endangered species and build economic opportunities to logging endangered old-growth forests, Mr. Speaker. In Budget 2022, there does not appear to be any money set aside for conservation financing, even though last summer the federal government put more than $160 million on the table for Indigenous protected and conserved areas. This provincial government has asked First Nations to pause the logging of old-growth forests, but hasn't given them any funding to compensate their potential losses. Budget 2022 was an opportunity, a missed opportunity to fix that mistake. The first item in the new Minister of Lands, Water and Resource Stewardship's mandate letter is to, quote, develop a path forward with First Nations to build a co-managed land and resource management regime that will ensure natural resources are managed effectively into the future, end quote. My question, Mr. Speaker, is through you to the new Minister of Lands, Water and Resource Stewardship. Will she act on the first item in her mandate and secure the desperately needed funds for conservation as was requested by Indigenous leaders in British Columbia?
Minister of Land, Water and
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member opposite for the question. First of all, let me say I am incredibly proud to be asked to lead this new ministry One that I will be working with my colleagues, with industry, with First Nations, with communities to help transform the way we work with First Nations to seek environmental stewardship and conservation, economic sustainability, and most importantly, Mr. Speaker, true reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. We all want our natural resources sector to support reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. We know we seek the balance of environmental sustainability and economic benefits. Mr. Speaker, our government has been working towards these goals, but we know there have been huge changes in the way natural resource ministries have been set up, the way the sector has played out, and we have an incredible amount of work to do. I am very proud to be leading this ministry, very much looking forward to the work ahead. Look forward to more conversations with the member opposite in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. Thank you.